Hello, everyone. Welcome to Off the Charts, episode 243. Yet another Kansas Connection episode. So, I'm not even going to point this time. From New Zealand, wearing a red shirt and maybe a little sick, Mr.
Hey
Keith.
everybody. Yeah, had a bit of a bout of COVID, but I'm bouncing back slowly.
Wow. Love the voice, though.
Yeah,
Very
it's keeping
macho.
my voice. Very Clint Eastwood.
Again, also from New Zealand, Steve. How's it going?
Hey, Dan.
And from the U.S., Mr. Kevin. How's it going?
Hey, how's it going, everybody? I'm doing good.
All right. Awesome. Okay. So we will be doing yet again another Rockstar dinner party, but this time it will be the deceased. So, you know what? You know how to explain it better than I can, Steve. Why don't you just tell them the rules of this one here?
Well, it's pretty
Since it was your
self-explanatory. Yeah, it is my idea. But it's just carrying on from the previous one. So the previous one was Rockstar dinner party. You could invite 4 people to your house for like a dinner party, and they would turn up as they are now, and obviously they're living rock stars. This one is a bit different. So these dead rock stars that you can invite. They're going to be obviously when they when they come to your house, they're not like rotten corpses or anything like that. They're moving and talking and all that kind of stuff.
Not
right?
the monkey's paw version, right?
Yeah. So listen. Because they're no longer alive, you have the choice of sort of bringing them back at any stage, right? So if that's really important to you, a lot of mine, they could just probably turn up around about the time that they died. It doesn't matter too much to me, but if there's a certain period that you wanted them to turn up, you want the 1970s version or the 1980 version of them, you can do that as well. But yeah, so that's basically it, and very similar to the last show, except this time it's dead rock stars.
Sounds good. All right. Well, then, since you're talking, why don't you go first if you want?
Okay. All right. So my first one, someone who passed away not that long ago. I'm not exactly sure when it was, but it doesn't seem that long ago. He's a bit of a legend. I'm actually not that big a fan of the band. I mean, I love the band. It's a really good band, but I don't have all their albums. There's a lot of albums, but very consistent. And so I'm gonna invite Lemmy round from Motorhead. I'm quite happy for him to sort of turn up. Lemmy from any time would actually be good, but he to me, I always thought I really enjoyed his interviews. Like when he got interviewed, it felt like he was very real. Like he was himself. He wasn't putting on he didn't really have he didn't really have a rock star persona. He just was a rock star 24/7. And he's just very true to himself. And he's a fascinating guy because he's been in the scene for a long time. Started off in Hawkwind and then did Motorhead for, gosh, that started up in the late 70s, didn't it? So I have to do the math now, like what's that, 40 years pretty much?
Problems.
A long time. So just kept putting out albums. He gets lumped into the hard rock heavy metal scene, but he just called his band a rock and roll band, and very consistent. And he moved over to the States, I think, in around about the late 80s, and then you could pretty much, if you wanted to catch up with Lemmy, just head down to the Rainbow and you could find him, which is pretty cool. So yeah, I think he'd be a great person to invite. So yeah, he's my first choice.
Good choice. Good choice. All right, Mr. Kevin.
Well, I didn't do a lot of overthinking on this one. So
Not like last time.
no, last time I went a little too far. I'm not actually putting anybody together this time. I just picked some people that I kind of wish could have been around longer, you know. And the first one I'll go with is Dolores O'Riordan from the Cranberries.
Oh,
I don't have any. When I ordered this, it was supposed to be a record, and when I got it, it came as a CD. And the guy said, "Oh, we just mislabeled it." And I said, "Well, I see that you've had 20 copies of this, and now you have 5. You might want to change that because you're going to get complaints from everyone thinking it was records." But he wouldn't change it. So anyway, but that's not the point. You know, they had a lot of hits in the '90s. She passed away. Seems like maybe 8 or 10 years ago. Maybe I don't know if it's been that long. She drowned in her tub. But she just had a unique voice. You know, she had that kind of, I guess maybe it was Scottish or Irish voice, and she had that kind of a yodel effect to her voice. And I know a lot of people didn't like that when they were popular, but I just thought it was totally unique and you know, something different. And they had a lot of hits. I mean, if you know, tons of hit songs. And I just would, you know, wish she was still around. And so that's who I went with for my first one.
is that Zombie?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, that one. Okay, yeah.
They did Zombie, Dreams, Linger, Ridiculous.
Linger, oh my God.
Yeah, they did a lot. They had a lot of hit songs. You know, and there's 20 songs on this hits album. So, and every one of them I recognize as being on the radio. So,
Linger was always played where I used to work in the loudspeaker.
it's a mall song, definitely a mall song.
Oh my God! All right, good choice, Mr. Keith. Who do you got for us? I mean,
Okay.
who do you got for us?
All right. I'm glad Steve like re-explained all the rules and that at the start of this, because I'm probably going to fudge it a little bit. You might say cheat, but so for my first choice, I decided that I'd expand this whole concept and design the ultimate deceased rock star party for all these dead rock stars. So a bit like if you just got one wish from a genie, and the cop out is I'd like 3 more wishes. What I decided to do was, and this might use up all my choices, so I'm quite prepared to sit out the rest of the video and just read a book or something. If you decide. So my first choice is for the ultimate. I'm going to pick an ultimate rockstar party organizer, and this has been proven over the years, and also one of the greatest rock vocalists of all time. And this is Freddie Mercury. So he was asked once about the degree to which like money drove his career, and what he actually said was, money, yeah, I cope very well actually, but I spend. So what's money for? Stuffing under your mattress, you know. And that's a thing that, you know, I live with as well. You can't take your money with you. So he would be a guest, but he'd also organize the party for me. So there'd be the best of everything here.
So you're saying you're lazy.
Yeah, pretty much. Just sit back, turn up on the date. Yeah. So the parties that the Queen band threw they were like legendary, and usually to celebrate like the band milestones and, you know, album releases. So the party to celebrate this album here, that this is a jazz album. So they had a massive party for this album, and that took place in Halloween in New Orleans. And
Were you there, Kevin?
I wasn't there.
1978, I think it was. So it featured a man who sat nude in a pile of chopped liver, and there were like nude double acts and circus people. So I want my party. Are you still following me, guys? Or you?
Oh, yeah, I
Okay.
You got me afternoon. Yeah, go on.
Okay. So I want my party to take place in New Orleans as well. Bring Freddie back. You know, this is close to where Kevin lives, of course. So he's invited. Yeah. He just needs to organize a dog sitter for his dog. Yeah.
Look, I'm not sitting nude in chopped liver, I can tell you that. But I'll come. I'll come.
You'll come. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. And so also there were like midgets carrying trays of cocaine on their heads, but you don't really need all that. So finally, with this concept, I would like as eye candy all the ladies that have appeared on Dan's channel. Thumbnails over the last 2 years to be at this party, except Jennifer Connelly.
Except her.
You'd be too jealous if I had photos taken with her. So
Unless you invite me.
Kevin's
Kevin's
going.
going.
Kevin.
All right.
And if
maybe,
you're
okay.
going, Keith, I mean, I'm
I
in New
guess
Zealand
so.
as well. I mean, come on.
Okay. All righty. All you guys then. Okay.
There you go.
All right.
That's a spirit.
There you go. That's my first one.
All right. I don't even know what to say. But anyway, good one. All right. So for my first one, it's a singer that passed away. That's probably the one artist so far that affected me the most when it was announced that he's passed away. And well, I'll just show him, Mr. Ronnie James Dio. Just for you, Steve, I took this album to show. When I met him, and I'm actually super proud to have met him, got a picture, and of course I've said this many times, that picture is now on one of his DVDs. But what got me was his reputation at the time was like he had a huge ego and this and that. And when I met him, I was like, the paparazzi could not have been more wrong. I've never met a guy or a rock star so nice, so friendly. For some reason, he thought my name was Jan, not Dan, but that's another story. But yeah, he was so nice, and I got him to sign some stuff, but it was the interaction with the other people that what got me. And he's like, a guy just showed up, like, everybody had something to sign or take a picture. The guy is like, I'm sorry, I didn't bring anything to sign. He goes, you know what? Come over here. Let me give you a hug. And I was like, wow. And I just thought it was so nice, a good touch. So you know what? You guys are all invited to this party too, and you can actually get a good hug from Ronnie James Dio. That's the picture. Like I'll remember the picture that I have with him, but it's when he gave that guy that huge hug because he didn't bring anything to sign. I thought that was so classy, and I've met many rock stars in my life, and to me that one was the most down to earth rock star I've ever met. So, and I kind of want to just, the reason I chose him was just to kind of continue where that left off, if that makes any sense. So there you go. Ronnie James Dio would be my first one.
Great choice. Yeah.
All right.
Great choice, Dan.
Mr. Steve.
Yeah, I knew this would happen. Someone's mentioned one, and then I'm like, maybe I need to change my invitation list because I'm like, oh yeah, I wouldn't mind Dio turning up. Anyway,
but
I'll
you're
stick
invited
with...
to my party, so you don't have
That's
to.
That's right. That's true. You're right. So I'm going to your party, so I'll meet him anyway. So in fact, I don't want to double up, do I? Yeah. Okay. And I don't want Freddie Mercury. So yeah. Okay. Cool. And Dolores as well. They're not on my list, so that's fine. All right. So my next one, I'm going to go with Jimi Hendrix. So I don't have a massive Jimi Hendrix collection, but this is just his greatest hits. But I mean, an amazing guitarist. I mean, obviously, yeah. And I thought with Lemmy coming, it would be kind of cool as well because Lemmy used to roadie for Jimi Hendrix back in the day. So I thought there's a bit of a connection there. And he's probably one of the greatest guitarists of all time. And I just think I'm sort of, because I'm inviting him to the party, yep, I am expecting some musical stuff to happen later in the evening. Not straight away, have a chat, have a drink or two. But to see him play would be amazing. So and And just to sort of get some stories from him, you know, which is like from like early in the early days of, you know, of rock really. He's such a influential person and died way too young. So yeah, he's my number six. He's my number two guest.
Make sure you also have a box of lighter fluid, a match, and
Yeah,
maybe a smoke alarm.
yeah,
But
and
not
fire
one of
extinguisher.
Kev's smoke alarms that beeps every the 6
Hey, I bought a good battery and it hasn't beeped in months.
I know.
Buy those cheap batteries from the dollar store and they don't last
I
very
know.
long.
They're so bad. All right, Mr. Kevin, who you got now?
All right, my next guy is somebody who was famous from probably the 70s through the early 2000s. Had a lot of hits. I prefer, if we got to pick what era we want them to look like or whatever, I'd go with a younger photo. And that would be Tom Petty. In his older days, he had this beard. And he just looked like an old guy, and I didn't like that so much. So we go with that one, and we could see the younger guy. But I thought I had a bunch of his records, but it turns out I have a bunch of the CDs. So I don't know what happened if I thought I bought records or whatever. But this is the only one I have on our record, is this greatest hits thing. But he always seemed like a pretty down to earth guy. Would be cool to hang out with. You know, he influenced a lot of people, and I've seen a lot of different performances with people you wouldn't expect to be on stage. Like there's one with Prince that came on stage with him, and they just I just thought he was a really good performer, put on a good show, and he went as well a little too early, I think. And that's my second one.
Good choice. By the way, I have that album on vinyl too.
Yeah.
Greatest hits.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing about that one is it was originally like, I don't know, like $40 or something like that, and the Walmart did their little sale thing where they do $15 at Thanksgiving time here, and it wasn't part of the sale, but I just went and started looking at the prices on things and scanning them because they have a little scanner right there in that section where the records are, and they were all coming up $15, even the ones that weren't promoted as $15. So I got that greatest hits and the Guns N' Roses and a couple other ones that weren't. I knew they were expensive, but they weren't on the list of things that were supposed to be $15. So there you go.
Stop that guy at Walmart with the dolly. He's on to it. All right, good one, Mr. Keith. Mr. Keith.
Okay. I would have had on my list as well Dio Dan, because he's awesome. And also it would have been interesting to see how Jimi Hendrix would have developed his guitar playing over the years with all these innovations and but my next guess I've just picked because I just simply don't know too much about them, and I just like to learn more about them and about him. And he died very young. So my next pick is, for my party guest, is one of the co-founders and the lead guitarist for the group Sabotage, is Chris Oliva. So he was on 7 albums and 1 EP, and he was just so good. But like I said, I can't find much about him online and things like that. And he died at 30 years of age, which is really young. So I think he deserves a bit of a break, a bit of a party.
Yeah.
To die so young. So come along, have a good time. I'm not going to make you perform, but like Steve said, it'd be nice, get on stage and play a bit with some of the other guests. So unfortunately, he was killed by a drunk driver, and the guy that killed him had 7 prior drunk driving convictions. The guy did get jail, but he only served like 18 months of a 5-year sentence. So, and it just knocked the whole band back for years and years, and obviously his brother. But yeah, it'd be great to hear him back playing, and yeah, just one guy that just died too young. Very bit of a sad story, you know.
Great
So,
riff guy. I almost thought of that. I almost picked that one too. Almost.
yeah, I picked that you'd pick the one you did, so I went with this one. Yeah,
There you go.
yeah.
All right. Next up for me, I still remember what I was doing when I learned that this one passed away. I was at work, and I think I had an hour left to my shift, and I didn't do nothing. So I'm going to be talking about Mr. Neil Peart from Rush. I was just starting to like Rush and buying their stuff, but I always I don't like to speak ill will of the dead there, but my beef with him was always he was never smile. He was always too serious, never smiling when he was on stage. But I would love to have him over for dinner. I don't know if you guys ever saw the Rush documentary Behind the Lighted Stage, but there's also a scene when the three of them are having supper, and it's like 20. It's like a DVD extra, and I think you can find it on YouTube, and it's about 20 minutes long, and it's just Geddy, Alex, and Neil having supper and talking and laughing, and I find that better than the actual documentary to a point there. And Neil Peart was actually having fun, and he was, it was part of the gang. So I want to bring that Neil Peart to my dinner party. Let loose. You're not on stage, you're not working, you're just here to have a good time, having a good supper or dinner wherever you are there. But I want that version of Neil Peart, the one that's having supper with Geddy and Alex, and he was just letting loose, having fun, laughing, saying some is it dad jokes or bad jokes at the same time. But I loved that part of the documentary, and I when I heard he had passed away, I was like, oh my God, and I was just getting into that band too, and I was like, oh my God, well, my shift is ruined. So anyway, that would be my second choice, would be Neil Peart from Rush.
I have a friend who actually did have dinner with Rush,
Really?
and it was under false pretenses. There was a guy when I was in high school, and I knew him a little bit in college too. He was a bootlegger basically, and he would go to concerts and record and send the tapes off to Italy, and they would send him back CDs and all this crazy stuff. But anyway, Rush played at the UNO Lakefront Arena in New Orleans, and it was about 2 or 3 hours before the show. He shows up at the arena dressed in like a tuxedo, and he's banging on the window, like the door, and a security guard comes and he goes, "Look, I'm late. I'm supposed to be serving dinner to the band." And he's like, how he knew, I don't know, but so he gets in there and he goes and he basically gets the food from wherever. I don't know how he figured it out. Goes, delivers the food, and ate dinner with Rush.
That is awesome.
And then he bootlegged their concert.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I'll never forget that, man. He was so excited when he came to school, and I was like, "What's going on?" Told me the whole
Respect.
thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. All right. Mr. Steve, what do you got?
All right. So for my third pick, I've got Jimi Hendrix. So I thought, well, I've got to have Eddie. So Eddie and Jimi Hendrix in the same room. Probably two of the greatest guitarists of all time. And Eddie, of course, just yes, such a big fan, of course, of Van Halen. And I just think it'd be interesting to talk to him about the different versions of Van Halen, and I'm thinking about end of the night, having a bit of a session with the music, getting everyone together to play some music, and having maybe Jimmy and Eddie, trading off on guitar, that would be something to see. So yeah, that's what I'm going for. Eddie Van Halen.
Ask him about Van Halen 3 just from me there. What the hell were you thinking?
No, not even. That's what. There was no Van Halen 3. That never happened, Dan. Never. Actually, I will say, I've heard people say that that's kind of really an Eddie Van Halen solo album, like because he had so much to do with it,
Yeah.
and he's just basically telling everyone what to do. Or so maybe I would ask him about that, but yeah.
All right. Good one there. All right, Kevin.
Okay, this next one is a band that probably nobody really knows here. Not really a band, but a person. And it would be Jim Ellefson of Material Issue, which was that guy.
Nope.
or that guy.
Nope.
Oh, that guy, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, you know him. Now, Material Issue were a power pop band from the 90s. They put out 4 albums. The first 3 to me are just like amazing. If you like the Knack and stuff like that, that's kind of band this was. They were a rock band, but very pop, music. So, it for me it was like the good pop, not and I got to see them live one time. They played at a festival here. It was very short. I think they might have played 30 minutes. But they were always just like, to me, like this great band. And they wrote a lot of songs about girls. Just on this album alone, there's Valerie Loves Me, Diane, Renee Remains the Same, and Lil Christine. And there's a whole list of songs that they did of just different girl names. And it's to a point, it's kind of cheesy, but it's just so good, and I'll but unfortunately, he decided that it wasn't worth it anymore, and he committed suicide by, I guess, sitting in the garage in his car and turning it on, kind of thing. So I always thought that was unfortunate because I think they could have been even bigger if they would have, because they were just starting to break through. Their biggest hit was Kim the Waitress. If you've heard any song by them, it's probably that, because that was on MTV a lot. But just, he passed away, I think it was 1996. And, if he'd hung on a little longer, I think they would have blown up and everybody would know who they were. But, anyway, that's my third sad one.
I've never heard of these guys. Yeah. I'll have to go check it out.
It's very pop.
Okay. I like some.
They probably needed one hit, and then when you die, then you become even bigger, right? But if you don't hit that hit before you die,
like I said, a lot of people that know them will only know that one song, Kim the Waitress.
Okay.
And if you heard it, you'd probably remember it. It wasn't one that like blew up, but it was there, and so, but anyway.
Cool. All right, Mr. Keith.
Okay, so this next one is an artist all you guys know, Bon Scott. So he's the second frontman for AC/DC, and he's on a total of 7 of the band's albums. I just got one of the most powerful voices, had one of the most powerful voices in music. I'd like to have him at my party because I'd just like to ask him what he makes of AC/DC since his passing. So I'd make him listen to all the back catalogue, of the recent Brian Johnson stuff, because they were just starting to make the big time when he passed. Like they came out with this album here in 1979, and this reached the top 20 in the US. And of course, he died in 1980. So this was like their big, massive breakthrough. And then, of course, he's gone. So I don't know if you guys have seen these new reissues that have got this label on.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're expensive over here.
Oh, yeah, I was tempted. Yeah.
They're not expensive here. They have them at Walmart here, and they're like $26.
Yeah.
So
There we
So
go.
I had to buy one, I had to buy one, and I had this on CD, but there's lots of extra cool stuff in it, like that.
Yeah.
And the particular one I've got, I'll just do a bit of a short show and tell. Look at that.
Nice.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So that's
The
sort of a hellfire,
what
which is cool.
what does the sticker say on the front of that?
It's just got 50 years. It's like a 50
Does
years
it?
type.
Because
Yeah.
the ones here, they're saying that they're on gold vinyl, and I don't know if it's that or a gold, just a different color. I haven't seen them, but I just saw them at the store, in the bin. I didn't haven't actually seen a record, but I wanted to get the Razor's Edge. But I just didn't know if it's that color, it'd be much better than just solid gold.
Yeah, most of them are gold, but I just only got that one because I thought it was appropriate for the Highway to Hell,
Mm.
hellfire type thing, Um, so of course he passes, and then they release Back in Black, and it's so they only released it like 5 months after his death. So there's all this speculation about how much of that album of the songs did he have a part in? Did he write or did the lyrics and you've got different people saying he did this and he did that because it came out so fast after he died. So I'd just like to clear that all up with him.
So it's not official?
No, like in the credits for it says that it's the band, like Brian Johnston and all that wrote the songs, but different people are saying how much participation he had. As I was saying, well, he actually wrote what's the song here? What's it
You
called?
got the wrong album.
Yeah, I got the wrong album. Yeah. Yeah, I can't remember the song, but so I'd just like to clear that up. How much he did, and just the circumstances of how he passed and all that, and things like that. I have got it here somewhere, but
Well,
so that's my last pick.
Let me know what he says because I'm curious to know.
Well, you'll be there, won't you?
That's right. With Jennifer Connelly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Bon, you know her? All right. Good one, Keith. All right. My third one. This will be a little bit out of the box, but people who follow my channel probably will. So this artist, he'd get along good with Neil Peart on a serious level. So I'm going to go with Frank Zappa. I'd love to pick his brain just how he writes music, how he scores, how he does everything. Like I'd be curious to know how he writes. He's very smart, intelligent. Like before he passed away, there was rumors, and I say rumors with a loose, that he was thinking about running for president of the United States at the time, because he was. But I want the Frank Zappa at the era of the PMRC. If you guys remember the Dee Snider, John Denver, and Frank Zappa when they went to testify in front of Al Gore and all that. That's the Frank Zappa I want. I just want to pick his brain regarding that little music knowledge, but mostly I'm just curious to see how he writes music. Like I know he up to a point where he scores everything. But yeah, I don't know that much about his personal life. Like I know enough there, but he's probably the one that I know the least of. So that's why I want him there, just so I can pick his brain regarding any questions I may have regarding Frank Zappa. So there you go. Number 3 would be Frank Zappa. Mr. Steve.
All right, my final one. I'm going to go with Vinnie Paul from Pantera. So there's Vinnie there. Of course, the Dimebag's no longer with us as well. So again, I'm kind of doing my guests so I can basically form a band and they can play at the end of the night. So that was part of my thinking. But also, Vinnie Paul, and Dimebag as well. Or Pantera in general had a really good reputation of being really friendly to the fans and hanging out with them. And and I think that Vinnie would be a lot of fun. But again, yeah, so forming my band, I'd have Vinny on drums, got Eddie and Jimmy on guitar, and Lemmy on bass. And I guess, I am probably, I probably could do with a really good singer, but, Lemmy can sing, of course. Otherwise, I'm quite happy to step in, and add my vocal talents.
I'd buy tickets for that.
Yeah. Anyway, so because I'm restricted to 4, but I thought it was quite interesting too that I've got Eddie, I've invited Eddie, and for my living rock stars, I invited Wolfgang. So there's I can say to Eddie, oh, I had Wolfgang around last week. Yeah, no, he's doing great, isn't he? And also I invited Zach Wild, my living rock stars party, so I can talk to Vinny about, oh, do you know Zach's now playing guitar in Pantera? Did you hear about that? And see what he thinks about that. And I don't think he'll be that positive about it, but that's, I don't know, because he's not alive anymore. But that would be my prediction. I'd be interested to know what he thinks about that. So yeah, there we go. That's my 4th pick.
Interesting. Good one. All right, Mr. Kevin.
Well, I just realized that I didn't do any heavy metal guys at all here, so I feel kind of left out.
All good.
But
Kevin, there's the theme here of them all sort of dying in rather unfortunate ways or sad ways or too early, sort of thing.
Yeah, well, this guy said as well.
Yeah.
But if this guy had lived, Dan might have liked the 90s. Do we know who that is? The next person on my list is Andrew Wood of Malfunction and Mother Love Bone.
Oh, God.
Now,
the worst part is I watched your friggin' episode about this guy. You talked about this, and it just went in one ear and out the other.
Well, I just got the RSD album that they put out that I didn't even know existed. Andrew Wood was the lead singer. He was influential to a lot of people, and not just the grunge rock people. What's Steve Keith doing there?
What is Keith?
Sorry.
Is he signaling me?
Riding a plane in his living room.
I didn't know if he was signaling me. But
my wife just came in.
After he died, a lot of people did tribute songs to him, including Faster Pussycat, who did a song called Mr. Love Dog. So if you know that song, that's about him. But I wanted to bring him in because I wanted to maybe show him what happened in the 90s after he died. Because if he had stayed alive, Pearl Jam wouldn't exist. Because 2 of the members of Pearl Jam were in Malfunction and Mother Love Bone with him, and they wouldn't have gone on because they were starting to get a little bit of popularity. He was this kind of glam guy, did the face and paint, and he was just out there. And so I wonder if the whole grunge thing would have even took off if he had not died. And he died of a drug overdose at a very young age as well. So I just thought, he was a very interesting character that I didn't even know about until probably the Temple of the Dog album came out, which was dedicated to him. I'd never known anything about him, and then I ended up writing this paper in college about that whole scene, and that's when I really found out about who he was. So, Andrew Wood.
All right.
But that Mother Love Bone album, it's definitely sounds a little bit like Pearl Jam, which makes sense because it's got couple of members of Pearl Jam in it. But yeah, I just think that they would have just they just would have been one of the bands that would have been up there with Nirvana and Stone Temple Pilots, and yeah,
But I mean,
I think they would have been huge.
Because when that whole thing started, like Pearl Jam, Nirvana, Alice in Chains, and Soundgarden, they all blew up together, and I just kind of wonder if that really would have happened the same way if he would have kept going on with Pearl Jam out not being there, would the other ones still rise like they did? I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. I think it would have. I think that he had a bit of a glam, had a bit of a glam image at times, didn't he? But he wasn't a hair metal guy, so I think he would be more. He's more that alternative rock grunge sort of scene, really. But yeah, and I think Nirvana was always going to happen anyway, and Nirvana was sort of they were the band that sort of led it. Sorry, Dan, it was destined to happen.
Hey, whatever. Everything happens. Everything happens for a reason.
Steve said it was going to happen no matter what. So
yeah,
what's that?
So far, no one's invited Kurt. I thought maybe Kurt might have been one of them.
I figured that was going to happen.
I came this close, and I was like,
no way.
But the reasons were not good. So I'm like, okay, I'm not. I'm not going there. All right. Mr. whatever, Keith. Mr. Hand signal guy.
Okay. Yeah, that was my wife came in. I just signaling to your coffee's on the table. So
okay.
Yeah, that's what you came in for. Yeah. Okay. Since everyone's using that dirty word, grunge. So this guy here, on the face of it, he seemed to have it all. His music sold millions. And he was, of course, one of the key members, like Andrew Wood, in that whole scene. Everyone knew him in that whole scene. And of course, his death was a tragedy that sort of touched people around the world when he died. And it bummed me out a bit when he passed, I have to say, because he was, I think, 52 or something. So he would have had a few more years. See what he would have done. Just one of the greatest rock singers of the time, I think. And just imagine if we could get all those old past rock singers together to do a song. Lemmy, Dio, Bon Scott. Imagine what a jam that would be.
We are the world.
Yeah, we are the world type thing.
We are the road crew, you mean?
Yeah. So I'd just like to, just talk to him like. It'd be like a Andrew Wood thing. Just talk to him about the bands they're in and what it was like and that. And just like with Bon Scott, there's quite a bit of conspiracy theories about Bon Scott. How he passed and this guy here. Just clear all that stupid stuff up. And so I think he'd be an interesting guest and quite a smart guy, I think. So for my last one, Chris Cornell.
Good one. All right. So for my last one, well, the party's my dinner party's getting a little way too serious right now. So I'm going to bring in somebody that's going to lighten the mood a little bit. The bad part is Steve and I will not be able to attend this same party at the same day because I've also chosen Lemmy. I'm like, I need somebody to break the ice, bring in some Jack Daniels and some Coca-Cola, and just lighten the mood a little bit with some rock stories. I would arguably say that Lemmy, in the last 10, 15 years of his life, was what Dave Grohl is now, like the coolest guy in rock, pretty much. Lemmy was in everybody's videos at one time and doing this and that. I'm just like, oh my God, these guys everywhere. And like Steve, I like Motorhead. I don't have everything. I don't love them. I went to see them live, what, 4 times? Once on purpose. The other times they were always opening bands. But yeah, this guy would be a blast to have at a party. Like Steve said, this guy is the real deal. And I don't know if ever you guys have ever seen his memorial on YouTube.
Mm-mm.
Check out Scott Ian and the guy from Anthrax. That one is just worth the price of admission right there. Just, I'm not going to spoil it. Just go Google Lemmy Funeral and then Scott Ian. That part is simply funny and amazing. But yeah, it's he was loved by all. He was like, everybody thought Lemmy was cool and their friends. So I'm like, yeah, I'm bringing Lemmy in for because my party was getting a little too serious. I need somebody to bring the mood back up there. So my fourth pick is Lemmy from Motorhead.
Nice.
And there you go. That is our Rockstar party or dinner party, the Deceased edition. Hope you guys enjoyed. Anything you guys want to add before I close up?
Yep. I'll just I don't know if anyone's got honorable mentions. I would just say that I did say I feel like I'm missing a vocalist, a singer. I did have Chris Cornell on my list there for a little bit. So if I could have a fifth person to front my band, yeah, I'd probably go with Chris Cornell. Yeah.
I had one that I was thinking about doing. It would have gotten back in the metal category, which was Steve Clark from Def Leppard. And I thought about him because I just wonder how that band would have progressed after, if he wouldn't have died, because I think he was the reason they were more of a rock band, and then after he died, they kind of went off into this whatever they do now, and so I just thought he might be a good one to bring back.
Cool. You, Mr. Keith, any honorables or?
Just the ones you guys mentioned, like Lemmy, Dio, all the big names.
Mhm.
Yeah, Jimmy. Yeah, they were on my list, and I did consider them for quite a bit.
I
So
almost brought in Beethoven just to see if he would be as cool as he was when he played himself in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. But I was like, okay, do I bring in like that far out there? But I like Beethoven there, so
Yeah.
that would be my honorable mention. There you go. All right. Well, I guess it's time to wrap this up. So before we do that, check out Steve's Rock and Metal Invasion website. Again, the links will be below. Kevin's Sonic Boom TV, and of course Keith's Attack from Down Under. Check their websites out. Please subscribe to them. Help us out, and we shall see you guys next episode. Take care. Bye-bye.